Here is a fire that burns in the darkness of the soul, a flame that promises warmth but delivers only ash. It arrives in the silent hours, when the world sleeps and the psyche whispers its most forbidden truths. You reach for it, thinking it desire, believing it pleasure, calling it need. But beneath the surface of every grasping hand lies a question you dare not ask. What am I truly hungry for? The body speaks in riddles. The heart cries in a language long forgotten. And somewhere, in the labyrinth of your unconscious, a part of you, abandoned, unseen, unloved, reaches back toward the light, disguised as craving. This is not about sin. This is about survival of a soul that learned to seek itself in all the wrong mirrors. In today's video, we will explore this topic, diving deeper and deeper into its hidden depths. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. The midnight signal of the soul. It happens when you are alone, late at night, phone in hand, mind restless, heart hollow. You tell yourself it is lust, that you simply need release, that this is normal, natural, human. Everyone does it. Just one more scroll, one more fantasy, one more body to consume in the theater of imagination. But if you were honest, truly, unbearably honest, you would feel it too. The emptiness, not merely after, but during. Even while you chase it, even while your fingers move across the screen, even while your mind constructs elaborate scenarios of touch and surrender, there is a voice beneath the noise. And it is not speaking the language of pleasure. It is speaking the language of grief. Carl Jung understood this long before modern psychology dared to name it. He wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." And lust, this constant grasping, this relentless craving, this compulsive consuming, is not about pleasure at all. It is about escape. Escape from boredom, from pain, from loneliness, from the aching silence that lives inside your own heart, like a ghost you refuse to acknowledge. You tell yourself you want her, but what you really want is to feel alive, to feel held, to feel seen, to feel something, anything, beneath the surface of this empty, performative existence you've constructed. But instead of turning inward, you chase the body. You chase the image. You chase the surge of neurochemical reward that vanishes as swiftly as it arrives. And when it is over, you are left with the same void, the same silence, the same self, untouched and unknown. The symptom, not the sin. You see, lust is not the enemy. It is the symptom. It is your soul attempting to capture your attention, desperately, urgently, through the only language your unconscious knows how to speak. Because beneath that craving lives something far deeper, disconnection. You are not connected to your body. You are not connected to your purpose. You are not connected to your emotions. You are not connected to the essence of who you actually are. And so you reach for the easiest substitute, the illusion of closeness, the illusion of control, the illusion of being wanted, desired, chosen. But Jung would say, this is the shadow in action. The part of you that was never loved in the right way now searches for love in all the wrong ways. It is the orphaned aspect of your psyche, wandering through the wilderness of desire, calling every stranger by your mother's name. And it is not just about sex. It is about all the ways you run. The compulsive texting at 2 in the morning, the pornography that becomes ritual, the meaningless conversations that almost feel intimate, the mental replays of someone who made you feel desired once, years ago, for just a moment. What you are really doing is avoiding the loneliness that lives beneath your skin like a second skeleton. Because to sit with it, to truly, courageously feel it, is to admit something terrifying. You do not just want release. You want rescue. Rescue from your own isolation, from your own numbness, from the buried, needs you were never permitted to express. The hunger disguised as desire. Jung saw this pattern in the patients who came to him, not with sexual problems, but with spiritual hunger disguised as desire. He did not moralize. He did not judge. He went deeper, because he knew the real question was never, "Why do I feel lust?" but rather, "What is this lust trying to distract me from?" And that is the question you must ask yourself now, because if you do not, you will continue feeding the craving without ever touching the wound. You will keep chasing bodies, but never experience intimacy. You will keep fantasizing, but never feel truly seen. You will keep finishing, but never feel whole. Here is the truth no one tells you. You do not need more pleasure. You need more presence. You do not need another body. You need to return to your own. Because the part of you that keeps reaching outward is the part of you that was never met inward, never held, never witnessed, never allowed to simply be. This is what Jung's Red Book was truly about. Not sex, not power, not control, but integration, the sacred reunion of all your fragmented pieces. The return to the self. The courage to look directly at your own emptiness and not turn away. So before you open another application, before you send another desperate message, before you allow your craving to lead you into the familiar maze, ask yourself, is this lust or is this loneliness wearing a mask? And if you finally stopped escaping, what would you find waiting inside you? The spiritual signal of fragmentation. Carl Jung never viewed lust as merely a physical impulse. To him, it was a spiritual signal, a coded message from the unconscious, a warning that the soul had been starved for far too long. Because when you have not faced your inner world, desire does not emerge from wholeness. It erupts from fragmentation. You do not lust because you are morally corrupt. You lust because you are divided. Jung wrote in the Red Book, "I must learn that the dregs of my thought, my dreams, are the speech of my soul." So when lust appears, suddenly, urgently, irrationally, Jung would say it is not truly about the person you are fantasizing about. It is about the part of yourself you have lost contact with. Here is what he meant. In Jungian psychology, the inner feminine principle in men is called the anima. And when the anima is unconscious, you do not know how to feel. You do not know how to surrender. You do not know how to love without clinging, without possessing, without drowning. So your soul reaches out the only way it knows how, through projection. You place your lost tenderness, your buried vulnerability, your inner radiance onto her. Not because she actually embodies all these qualities, but because she reminds you of the part of yourself you cannot access anymore. When you lust after her body, her presence, her softness, you are not actually craving sex. You are craving reunion with your lost soul. This is why it hurts. Because no matter how many times you chase it, you never reach it. You cannot. Because you are chasing yourself in someone else's body. The shadow's seduction. And the more disconnected you are from your anima, the more violent, desperate, and empty your lust becomes. You scroll endlessly. You fantasize about people you barely know. You replay images that made you feel something, anything. And yet every time it ends, you feel more distant from yourself than before. Jung said, "This is how the shadow seduces you, not with evil, but with illusion." You do not see a person. You see your unmet needs, your suppressed pain, your forgotten warmth. And because you never integrated these aspects within yourself, you attempt to possess them outside. But lust, when disconnected from love, always collapses. Because no one can carry the weight of your unlived emotions. No body can complete your fractured identity. No moment of pleasure can heal a soul that has never been truly felt. So what happens next? You begin needing more. More stimulation. More novelty. More intensity. Because now your soul is not just craving, it is starving. You think the answer lies in more content, more experiences, more people. But all you are really doing is running faster through a maze that leads directly back to your emptiness. Carl Jung believed that to break this cycle, you must stop asking, "Who turns me on?" and start asking, "What part of me have I turned off?" Because when you reconnect with your emotions, your dreams, your intuition, your authentic longing, lust transforms. It becomes sacred. It becomes creative. It becomes a bridge, not a trap. The path of integration. Jung called this process integration, bringing back the parts of yourself that were cast into the unconscious. And lust is the fire of your soul, trying desperately to capture your attention, not to shame you, not to frighten you, but to show you how far you have drifted from yourself. You do not merely want someone to touch your body. You want someone to witness your being. You do not just want release. You want relief from the ache of being unseen, untouched, unheld, even by yourself. So here is the most difficult truth Jung offers. Until you face your soul, your desire will always be misdirected. You will keep chasing shadows. You will keep calling it love. You will keep falling into arms that do not feel like home. Because the home you seek is the part of you that you stopped visiting long ago. So the next time you feel the wave of lust rise within you, pause. Do not repress it. Do not act on it blindly. Simply ask it, "What are you trying to show me about myself?" Because once you learn to feel the energy without losing yourself in it, you do not become cold. You become clear. And in that clarity, you can finally choose something deeper than the craving. You can choose connection, not escape, not performance, not fantasy, but presence. And from that presence emerges the kind of love that lust could never give you. The invisible fractures. You keep telling yourself it is harmless, a release, a phase, a need. But slowly, imperceptibly, it begins to reshape you. Not in one dramatic moment, but in tiny, invisible fractures. You stop feeling your emotions fully. You stop seeing people as whole beings. You begin mistaking attention for love and stimulation for intimacy. This is what Carl Jung feared most. Because lust, when disconnected from the soul, does not merely distort how you see others. It shatters how you see yourself. At first, the changes are subtle. You stop making eye contact. You avoid deep conversations. You retreat into fantasies that feel safer than reality. You smile in public, but feel numb inside. Then it grows worse. You lose motivation, not just sexually, but in life itself. You stop writing. You stop building. You stop creating. Because lust, when indulged mindlessly, consumes the very fire that was meant to fuel your purpose. It becomes your shortcut to aliveness. But the cost is your soul, the complex and the loop. Jung believed that every time you feed a craving without consciousness, you strengthen the complex behind it, a psychological loop of trigger, reaction, relief, guilt, and repetition. And the more you repeat it, the more you come to believe, "This is just who I am." But it is not who you are. It is who you became after you stopped feeling safe in your own skin. You were not born addicted to bodies. You were born craving connection. You wanted warmth, not friction. Love, not lust. Presence, not performance. But when life failed to provide those things, you turned to fantasy. Because in fantasy, you control the narrative. You are wanted. You are powerful. You are never rejected. But here is the cost. You stop showing up for the real world. You lose the ability to sit in awkward silence, to endure longing, to build something meaningful with another human being, to fail in front of love and courageously try again. Because lust teaches you escape, not courage, not patience, not resilience. And so you become trapped. You keep chasing highs that never touch your heart. You keep searching for women who make you feel something, just enough to distract you from how profoundly disconnected you are from yourself. And perhaps worst of all, you begin to resent yourself. You tell yourself you are weak, broken, irredeemable, that you will never find real love. But Jung would say, it is not brokenness. It is disconnection from the inner feminine, from the soul's capacity to nurture, to hold, to feel. You have fire, but no warmth. You have desire, but no devotion. And without integration, lust becomes a form of violence, not outward, but inward. Psychic possession. You betray your own values. You promise yourself never again, only to fall back into the same pattern the next night. Over time, your mind becomes scattered. Your heart becomes calloused. Your dreams become barren. Because nothing that once made you feel alive can compete with the intensity you have wired into your nervous system. The high is brief. The aftermath is long. And the worst part? You start needing more while feeling less. Jung called this psychic possession, when a complex hijacks your willpower. When you no longer act, you are acted through. In this case, it is not you chasing lust. It is your shadow, your loneliness, your unloved inner child, searching for someone to hold him in the only way he has ever known. So the cycle repeats. Relationships disintegrate. You sabotage connection. You cannot sit with discomfort, so you swipe. You cannot tolerate silence, so you scroll. You cannot face yourself, so you chase someone else's body. But what you never realize until it is too late is that lust does not merely keep you from love. It keeps you from becoming you. It steals your creative energy, your attention span, your soul depth, your spiritual clarity. And the longer it continues, the more you begin to wonder, why don't I feel anything anymore? That is the consequence. Not shame, not hell, not punishment, but numbness. And Jung would argue that numbness is far worse than pain. Because when you are numb, you stop evolving. You stop listening. You stop hearing the voice inside you that whispers, "This is not who I came here to be." The fire of transformation. You do not need to hate yourself in order to heal. You do not need to repress desire. You simply need to ask one question. What is this craving trying to teach me about myself? Carl Jung never told you to extinguish the fire. He told you to understand it. Because the fire of lust, when ignored, becomes addiction. But when faced with courage and consciousness, it becomes transformation. And that journey does not begin by closing your eyes. It begins by finally opening them. No more lying. No more blaming. No more saying, "This is just how I am." You are not broken. You are simply lost. And you have been using lust to avoid the map. But the map was never outside of you. It was never in her body. Never in that video. Never in the next message, the next application, the next escape. The map was always your soul. The sacred practice of staying. So how do you begin? Step 1, stay. Not with her. Not with them. With you. Stay in your body. Stay with the ache. Stay through the craving without feeding it. At first, it will feel impossible. You will tremble. You will reach for your phone. You will itch for escape. But if you breathe through it, just one moment longer than you usually do, you will hear something new. Silence. Not the numb kind. The sacred kind. And in that silence, a voice will whisper, "I miss you." It is the part of yourself you left behind. The boy who learned to earn love through performance. The soul who mistook touch for truth. The man who forgot that his craving was not evil, just unmet. Jung believed you do not destroy your shadow. You integrate it. You sit with it. You learn from it. You bring it back into the light. The daily relationship with soul. What does that look like in practice? You start writing again, not to impress, but to feel. You create, not for validation, but for release. You sit in nature. You allow yourself to cry. You breathe into your chest and ask, "What do I actually want right now?" And you listen, not just once, every single day, because healing lust is not a one-time fix. It is a daily relationship with your own soul. And over time, the cravings lose their grip. Not because they disappear, but because you no longer fear them. You welcome the heat. You thank the desire. You hear what it is truly saying. I want love. I want beauty. I want meaning. I want myself. The return to wholeness. You do not need to shame yourself anymore. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. You simply need to come home. Because when you reclaim your anima, your inner feminine, you no longer chase it outside. You embody it. You feel your emotions. You honor your softness. You become magnetic because you are finally whole. And then, when someone does come along, you do not need to possess them. You do not need to be rescued. You do not need them to complete the parts of yourself you abandoned. Because you already did that work. In silence. In darkness. In the sacred place that lust could never reach. But your soul always could. So if this resonates with something deep inside you, then you have already begun the journey back. Sit with it. Listen again. And tell me in the comments, what have you really been craving all along? You were never addicted to her. You were addicted to the feeling of being whole. Now give that back to yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.